Stand by.
TV Crazy Man here. In this video, we boldly go where no man has gone before, looking at a few very awesome, sometimes terrible, yet fascinating times that classic TV predicted the future, including predictions for future unrelated TV series, huge historical events, and one series that eerily predicted the order that its stars would pass away.
Fascinating.
Star Trek made a very bold prediction on the episode Tomorrow is Yesterday, which aired in 1967. In that episode, the Enterprise has accidentally traveled back into the late 1960s.
Whiplash propelled us into a time warp, Captain.
Historically speaking, the Apollo 11 mission was the first time man landed on the moon. It took off from Cape Kennedy on a Wednesday, July 16, 1969 at 9:32 a.m. Eastern Time.
That was in the late 1960s.
Apparently, Captain. So are we.
Star Trek predicted the first moon landing would launch on a Wednesday in the late 1960s.
The first manned moonshot is scheduled for Wednesday, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Star Trek missed calling the time of the launch of Apollo 11 only by a couple of hours, stating it would be at 6 a.m. Here's a strange coincidence that predicted the future of Larry Hagman's character, J.R. Ewing, from the hugely popular primetime soap Dallas that started in 1978 and ran through the 80s. The accidental prediction came from earlier episodes of I Dream of Jeannie that ran in the 60s. That comedic series featured Larry Hagman as a likable astronaut who finds a genie named Jeannie and has his life turned upside down. Whereas his role on Dallas, he played the meanest, most conniving bad guy on television at the time. Maybe even to this day. First in the episode, My Master the Civilian. In this episode, Jeannie uses a future-telling machine to see how Tony's life would turn out if he quit the space program and took a civilian job. Coincidentally, the interior set for Tony's office is the same one for Darren Stevens' office in Bewitched.
Here's the report you asked for.
Thank you, Sue.
Ellen.
Yes, strangely enough, if you combine the names of the two secretaries, you get the name of Larry Hagman's wife on Dallas, Sue Ellen.
I won't be able to explain this if I live to be your age. Oh.
If it was just that alone, it wouldn't be that big a deal, but there's more. A couple of seasons later in the episode Black Mail Order Bride, a woman pretends to be Tony's wife, and her name is Sue Ellen.
Believe it or not.
This next one is a bit spooky.
It's time for the Monkees. I wonder if anybody around here's got a television set.
The Monkees were one of the biggest bands of the 60s. They've had many comebacks over the decades, but they started out as a band created just for television. When I was a teen, the Monkees were making a huge comeback at the time thanks to MTV and Nickelodeon re-airing their show at the same time that they were on tour. The 1966 TV band consisted of child actor and singer Mickey Dolenz, English actor and singer Davy Jones, musician Peter Tork, and songwriter Michael Nesmith. Now, sadly, most of the members have passed away now. On the episode Monstrous Monkey Mash, a Transylvania count captures Davy and then Peter, and then Mickey seems to eerily predict the future.
We haven't found Davy. We can form a trio. No.
As Monkey fans know, Davy Jones passed away in 2012 at the age of 66.
Peter, he's gone. Maybe we make it a duet? No.
After Peter Tork passed away in 2019 at the age of 77, Mike and Mickey did a Monkees farewell tour as a duet in 2021.
If you get lost, I'll be a single. Here I come. Mickey.
And very sadly, now Mickey Dolenz is now the very last surviving member of the Monkees, and now tours alone. Now, of course, I'm not great at math, but I would bet that the odds were pretty high against any television episode predicting, accidentally or coincidentally, the exact order of each band member's passing, and that Mickey Dolenz would in fact continue on tour alone. Coincidence? Sure. But weird? Definitely.
I know you and your friends are fighting for the American dream. Just don't expect to win.
This next one I think is really freaky. Lone Gunman was an X-Files spinoff that aired for just 13 episodes in 2001. The show's title refers to the Lone Gunman theory concerning JFK's assassination in 1963. The characters of the show are friends of Fox Mulder, whom he sometimes turns to when he needs help with his investigations. It's a show about conspiracies that mirrored reality a little too closely on the pilot episode. In the series premiere, which aired on March 4, 2001,
We're going to crash the plane into the World Trade Center.
the lone gunmen try to stop a plot to send a plane to collide with the World Trade Center.
With this, said yourself, we don't know the full extent of this conspiracy. We can't trust any government official.
Of course, we all know what happened on September 11, 2001, but in this TV episode, there's a happy ending, and the plane misses the towers. You have to admit, it's just incredibly weird that this episode came out only 6 months before the September 11th attack on the World Trade Center.
We've got to get out of here. I'm scared.
Did an episode of The Twilight Zone predict a future role for its guest star Jackie Cooper? On the episode Caesar and Me.
Jonathan West, ventriloquist, a master of voice manipulation.
It's not really the best Twilight Zone episode I've ever seen, but the amount of coincidences I found in connection to DC Comics' most famous superheroes is just downright freaky. It's almost as if the Twilight Zone mingled with the world of DC Comics for one episode.
Holy roller coasters!
The episode in question was Caesar and Me. It originally aired on April 10th, 1964. In the first scene of this episode, Jackie Cooper is shown at a pawn shop run by actor Stafford Repp, who played Chief O'Hara on the '66 Batman series.
I'm afraid that's all I can give you.
You know what this means, don't you?
Also coincidentally, the title of this episode, Caesar and Me, coincides very nicely with Jackie Cooper's future character, Perry White, whose catchphrase, of course, was Great Caesar's Ghost.
I'm sorry, Mr. West.
Wait, what's that? Cooper's last name is West?
Holy coincidence, look!
Adam West would play Batman less than 2 years later. And what's this? Cooper's first name is Jonathan? Everybody knows Jonathan's the first name of Superman's adopted father.
Uncanny photographic mental processes.
Cooper's character is a down-and-out ventriloquist whose dummy actually talks and convinces him to turn to a life of crime to pay his bills.
Listen to me. This is the big one.
But this is the last one. The end for me.
Yeah, sure.
Coincidentally, one of Batman's rogues gallery is a villain named the Ventriloquist. There are actually 3 versions of this character. The first one appeared in 1988, years after this episode was made. Now, if you think this dummy looks familiar, that's because he's the same dummy they used for the 1962 Twilight Zone episode, The Dummy, which starred another ventriloquist with a live dummy played by, get this, Spider-Man's Uncle Ben, Cliff Robertson, who also played on 5 episodes of the 60s Batman as a villain named Shane.
Don't make a move, Batman, or I'll fill you full of lead.
You can't frighten us with a vague threat, Shane.
Whether or not this is supposed to be the same dummy from the previous episode in the story, I don't think was ever said, but it would make sense if it was. But in the 1962 episode, the dummy is named Willie, while the latter one is named Caesar. But of course, maybe he changed his name because he was in hiding. He is an evil, crooked dummy.
You big dummy!
The dummy was modeled after actor George Murdoch, who played in several episodes of The X-Files, and coincidentally, an episode of Smallville, and an episode of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. After failing at an audition with his dummy, Jonathan West heads to the unemployment office, where he meets Batman. Well, the voice of the Super Friends Batman, Olin Soul.
So that's what they've been up to. An entire army of villains to do their evil bidding.
He did the voice of Batman as a super friend for years until Adam West joined the show and they moved Olin over to doing the voice of Professor Stein. I recently came across an old TV episode of Death Valley Days that I think may have subconsciously influenced Nimoy when he came up with the Vulcan nerve pinch.
You better be out of this territory by morning. I'll break your neck.
The episode was entitled The Shivery and came out in 1953, more than a decade before Spock did it on Star Trek. It wasn't as instantaneous as Spock's Vulcan nerve pinch, but it does seem very Vulcan-like. Part of Nimoy's reasoning, I believe, was that he wanted a less violent means of dispatching of his enemies, which also sort of coincides with the thoughts of this unusual fellow from Death Valley days.
Only animals display their feelings by physical violence.
Fascinating.
Bridge, this is the captain.
Did Star Trek predict the creation of the cell phone or just influence its creation? Particularly the flip phone. Of course, the flip phone sure did look like it come from Star Trek. Certainly many devices from Star Trek and other movies and TV shows like the Jetsons have either predicted or perhaps inspired the creation of many things we have today. Still, the skies are sadly not filled with flying cars. But I suspect it's only a matter of time. Please hit the like and comment below. Let me know your thoughts and post any requests for future videos you might have on the subject of classic television or movies. Check out the TV Crazy Man main page for lots more videos on classic TV with goose, bloopers, fun facts, and even a few imaginary crossovers and parodies. Thanks and have a great day.